Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. This is a little project bag. It has a zipper on it, but right in here is vinyl so that you can look through this and see what project you've got stored in it. If you're like me, I've probably got 10 different things I'm working on all at the same time, and I don't want to get things all mixed up. One of the questions I get about working with vinyl is what size needle should I use? And it is recommended for this thin vinyl that I'm using to use a size 10 needle. I find though that my little 90-14 size needle also works just fine. You don't want to use too fine a point of a needle or too short of a stitch, because then you're going to wind up just cutting your vinyl. You just want it enough space in between those stitches to hold it together. When you're putting your vinyl in your sewing machine, sometimes it doesn't move around so easily. So I find if I put paper underneath, I can control the fabric. I've also had people tell me that they use their walking foot, and that also helps them manipulate the vinyl along with any fabric you're stitching on to get it through the sewing machine. Another little tip about this is use 100% polyester thread. A few episodes ago of my tips of the week, I went over Prairie points. And a viewer asked me, well, how do I go around the corners with a Prairie point? And so here's a sample of 2 Prairie points. So here's my fabric, and I'm going to put them up against in the corner to where they touch each other. Not overlapping, just where they touch. Go ahead and do your seam going around the corner, layer your fabric, blah, blah, blah. Do everything you need to do to get your seam done. Then when you turn it front side out, this is how your Prairie points come out. So I've got some along this end of this table runner and some along here. Now, if you're making a quilt or even just a pillow like this, and you want to put a border on, a border has several purposes. It can help enlarge the quilt if it's not quite big enough after you put a lot of quilt blocks together. And so, or you can put it on a pillow. Well, on this pillow, this is a border that I stitched on. But I also stitched through to the fabric on the back. Here's the back of it. And stitched through it, and then stuffed it with my polyfill stuffing. So it's a border, but it's kind of a floppy border. Now, if you've got something that's really small, this was a needle point one that I did, and it was just this narrow little piece. And I wanted to make it bigger, but I didn't want one big fabric, so I put 2 fabrics on it to enlarge it. And always pick colors that are in your center piece, and then it's going to harmonize real well. I'm going to refresh your memory just a little bit about the process to go through to add a border. So let's say you have a bunch of squares stitched in here, whatever you've got on your quilt, or it could be the front of a pillow. You first start on the border that's going to go around this. It's going to actually touch it. So you pick 2 edges and you do opposite edges, stitching it on. Then you go to the other 2 ends and stitch those on. Then you go, if you need a second border or a third border or whatever you're doing, you go to 2 opposite edges again, stitch it on, and then your last 2 edges. Now here's a little table topper I made a long time ago. And on this, I actually have 3 borders. And they're actually 3 different yellows. They are yellow and white. This one is a little bit brighter yellow, and then these 2 are dull. So a quick way to put a border on that has multiple pieces attached to it is stitch your strips together first, then cut them the length of the width here and stitch them on. Go to the opposite edge and do the same thing. If you're going to put a corner up here, a corner square, or a 9-patch like this, then stitch it on to the ends of your next 2 edges you want to do. So you stitch them on the 2 edges and then stitch it onto this piece here. Your sashing is a border too, but it's only a border around a quilt block. So it accentuates that block and highlights it. Your outer border highlights the entire quilt. Now this is just a wide one, that's real wide strips. You put it on in the same manner that I told you before. 2 opposite edges, sew it on, then go to the other 2 opposite edges. This is a triple border. Now on this one, I have 3 borders, and they're each a different width. But I want you to pay attention to the colors I selected. The colors are a very close match to what's in here. So your border is very important when, as far as picking a color. Make sure that it matches any one of the colors in your quilt. So whatever color you want to pop out the most, then make that your border color. This is panel fabric, and the panel fabric ends where the brown is, okay? The yellow was added on, and then this fabric here was actually the panel fabric quilt designer who made this, and it was purposely made to go with this. Now they don't tell you what you do with it on your panel fabric. That's just up to you as the person making it. So I happened to buy just enough to where I could put a border on it, and it actually looks like one big piece of panel fabric by the time you're done. So when you are shopping for panel fabric, look and see if there's any type of companion fabric that is offered to go with it. Now this is another panel fabric, and this panel fabric ends where this yellow is. And so I wanted to pick colors. So I put a narrow one, then a wider border, and then another narrow one, and then a wider strip. So it doesn't matter what the order is, or if they're all the same size or not the same size. It's really up to you. But again, make sure you pick colors that are in here if possible. Now, this orange it's on one of the flowers. I don't know if you can see it down there, but it is on one of the flowers. It's kind of an orangey red. So it helps to bring those flowers and leaves out that are this orangey red. Now don't be afraid to use up your scrap fabric when making a border. For instance, along the top here and along all the sides are just strips of fabric that I had left over from other projects, or if you have leftover jelly roll strips, I should say. So how you would go about doing this is take your strips, whatever you have, and line them up. And they don't even have to be all the same length, as long as they're the same width. And you just stitch a bunch together long enough to cover the edge you want to work on. Then create another row, and then another row, but make sure you offset them. So you don't want all the seams to come together. You want them separated from each other. So stitch the 3 rows together, then cut these into a length that will fit the edge of your quilt, and then stitch it on. And again, if you want to put a square in the corner here, you would stitch 2 opposite edges on, then go to each end, make strips that are long enough to go fit this edge, place this square on the end of each strip, and then stitch it on your quilt. This is one of my favorite ways to do a border. And I first stitched the yellow on, but I wanted to use up a lot of my scraps. So all of these scrap pieces are cut the same length going this way, but they're all a different width. So you just stitch them together, get a piece long enough to cut that edge, and if you want a solid square in the corner, just stitch it on like I talked about in the last quilt that I showed you. And this makes just a beautiful quilt. This is one of my favorite fall panel quilts that I have done. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tip of the week and that I've inspired you in some way to try some of these things that I've shown you. If you're interested in seeing the projects, the tutorials that I have on many of the things I discussed in this tip of the week, look below your YouTube screen in the description section. So scroll down till you see the word more. Click on it, and that section will expand open and you will see the links appearing. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.